Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I guess it's too late for me now? Too late to change careers. Too late to rebuild your finances. Too late to revive a dream that's been sitting in the back of a drawer. Well, that's one of the most dangerous sentences a person over 40 can repeat to themselves. Because it doesn't kill you all at once. It slowly erases your faith in your own future. At 40, 50, 60, many people look back and see a trail of attempts, failures, and bills to pay. You've fought so much, worked so hard, and still feel like you've fallen behind. Your body tires more easily. The market seems faster, and the fear of starting over mixes with the shame of not having made it. It's as if there's a voice whispering, "It's too late to change." But that voice isn't the truth. It's only the echo of exhaustion, frustration, and unfair comparisons with people who never lived what you've lived. Science shows that this feeling has an explanation. Neuroscience research reveals that after 40, the brain goes through a deep reorganization. Connections become more selective, which means we learn differently, but not worse. In fact, more efficiently. Psychology calls this mature learning, when the mind no longer seeks novelty out of impulse, but meaning through experience. In other words, you haven't lost the time to prosper. You've gained the wisdom to prosper consciously. The problem is that society sells us the idea that success has an expiration date, that the peak is at 30, and after that, life is about holding on to what you've got. But maturity proves the opposite. Mature financial life is, in fact, the most fertile moment to plant prosperity with purpose. Because now you understand the value of time, the weight of choices, and the price of peace. Think of people like Julia Child, who only discovered her passion for cooking at the age of 40. Before that, she had spent much of her life without a clear direction, trying to fit into roles that didn't truly belong to her. But when she decided to learn how to cook, she dove in completely. And at 50, she published a book that would change the history of gastronomy. Julia proved that talent has no expiration date when it's fueled by curiosity and the desire to learn. Or like Rodney Dangerfield, who spent decades in ordinary jobs, struggling with the feeling of being just another person. At 42, he decided to pursue what he had always loved, comedy, and, against all odds, became one of the most influential comedians in the United States. His most famous quote, "It's never too late to be who you are," became an anthem of reinvention for an entire generation. And then there's Raymond Chandler, who was fired at 44 and decided to write his first detective novel. Until then, he had never been a professional writer, but he turned unemployment into creative fuel. He created one of the most iconic characters in modern literature and showed the world that reinvention is an art reserved for the brave. None of them started early, but all of them started again. And that's what truly matters. That's the real point. Prosperity after 40 isn't about age. It's about awareness. It's about understanding that time hasn't stolen your opportunities. It has prepared you to use them wisely. When you think it's too late, what you're really saying deep down is, I'm afraid of being disappointed again. But fear is not the enemy. It's merely a reminder that something new wants to be born inside you. According to studies on financial behavior, the fear of starting over is one of the main blocks to prosperity after 40, because it paralyzes your natural impulse to create, to take risks, and to rebuild. And without action, the mind settles, and life stagnates. But the brain is plastic, adaptable, and capable of change. It rewires itself with every new challenge. Modern neuroscience proves that the mature brain is not only capable of change, it actually changes faster when there's a sense of purpose involved. And purpose is precisely what maturity has to offer in abundance. So maybe your new prosperity plan for life after 40 doesn't need to start with a spreadsheet, but with a decision. The decision to believe that there's still time. You don't need to rush. Abundance after 40 comes from a new relationship with time. You've already understood that wealth and maturity isn't just about having money. It's about having peace, autonomy, and choice. It's about waking up and knowing that the day belongs to you, not to debt, not to your boss, and not to fear. Financial freedom after 40 isn't about chasing what was missing. It's about learning to enjoy what's arriving. Behavioral economics explains that prosperity doesn't depend only on technique, but on mindset. The way you think about money determines how money responds to you. And what most blocks financial growth after 40 is guilt, the belief that I should have made it by now. But time isn't the enemy. Time is soil. And the more that soil has been lived, the more fertile it becomes. So if you feel like the train of life has already passed, understand this. The station of prosperity never closes. It just changes tracks. Mature financial life isn't built on speed, but on wisdom, on aligned choices, purpose, and consistency. Maybe now is the most favorable moment of your journey, because you've already made enough mistakes to know what you don't want, and lived enough to recognize what truly matters. Do you want to know the secret of how to prosper after 40? It's simple, but powerful. Start small, but start. Re-educate your mind before you re-educate your wallet. Invest more in knowledge than in fear. Learn about midlife finances, about investing, about the power of habit. Don't wait to feel ready. Act, even with uncertainty, because movement creates clarity, and clarity creates prosperity. When you move, the universe rearranges itself, and what once seemed distant begins to draw near. Opportunities that once felt invisible start to appear. The right people cross your path. Energy shifts, and money feels it. After all, prosperity after 40 is a state of consciousness. It's when you realize that everything you've lived through was training, that every fall was a rehearsal for the leap that's coming next, and that the time that has passed isn't loss, it's preparation. Abundance has no age, because a prosperous mind is eternal. So from this day on, repeat to yourself, I'm not late. I'm ready. Ready for a new cycle of financial growth. Ready to redefine your relationship with money. Ready to live financial freedom in maturity. The right time isn't what came before. It's now. Because now you know who you are. Now you know what you want. And now, finally, you can live what you've always deserved. It's never too late to prosper. It's never too late to begin again. The true clock of abundance doesn't measure hours. It measures awareness. And when you awaken to that awareness, time becomes your ally. If this video made sense to you, give it a like, drop a comment below, share it with someone who needs this message, and subscribe with the bell on so you won't miss a thing. And if you want to take the next step to transform your financial mindset, check out the link in the first comment below.